Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for those of you watching that are not in the Pacific Coast. This is Tulio Sergusa with Dojo Live. Today is February 24th, 2022, and we have another episode earlier than usual because our guest is way over in Tel Aviv. So we're happy to have our guest with us today, who's Tom Livne, who is the CEO and founder of Verbit. And joining me today is Carlos Ponce in Cuernavaca, Mexico. Carlos, good to have you back.
Pleasure to be here, Tulio.
We're talking about the transcription industry today and the role of AI, but we're going to have a further conversation on AI.
Carlos, did he disappear?
Yes. I'm sorry, what?
No.
Tulio, you froze for 2 seconds.
That was weird. Everything went dark for a second, but I think we're back. So let's continue. That's the beautiful thing about live videos. So, Tom, thanks for being on the show. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask about Verbit. But let's get to know you a little bit, if you could. Once again, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So give you a bit background about myself. So I'm originally born and raised here in Israel. I'm 36 years old. And in Israel, you always start with the army service. So I've been in the special forces of the paratroopers, still doing the reserved. And, it's interesting day today with the war in Kiev, and we have 40 people there in Verbit, so my heart with them. And I've been in the wars in the army, so I know how tough it is. Then I studied law and business, graduate cum laude, and I'm a lawyer. No one is perfect, right? So I hope the audience will not hold it against me. But the two good things for me being a lawyer, that I work closely with entrepreneurs and realize I don't want to be the advisor. I want to be the entrepreneur myself. And the second, I saw how much time, how much money we're spending on the transcript of the legal deposition, and how manual and painful and not efficient was the process. And this was the aha moment for me to start Verbit, and maybe we'll talk about it later. And in the last 5 years or so, I'm the founder and the CEO of Verbit.
Great. Well, tell us about Verbit. It's like you kind of hinted it a little bit. We're just curious to see what gave birth to this idea. What was like the aha moment? Like, we should do this. And what do you guys do today?
Yeah, so today Verbit is the world's largest AI-powered transcription platform. We raised up to date more than $600 million with a valuation of over $2 billion from tier one investor like Third Point, Sapphire Ventures, Stripe, and also the Israeli angle of Viola Ventures and Vertex Ventures. And we have the AI-driven voice AI platform to really disrupt the $30 billion transcription market that is really fragmented. And when everyone is talking about digital transformation, right? So this is exactly what we're doing. We're taking a market that is analog with low efficiency, and that there's no almost technology involved, and we are disrupting it and digitizing it and putting our technology to kind of modernize all the transcription processes with vertical specialty, like specialization. We have more than 2,000 customers between our main vertical, which are legal, media, and education. So we utilize a combination of AI and speech recognition we have developed in-house, combined with a network of 35,000 freelancers from all around the globe. You can think about it as the Uber for transcription. And instead of doing the whole process super manual, we are utilizing the AI for the 90% of it, and then the last mile of 10% being done by the freelancers. And every time they're doing the correction, it's a supervised learning to the speech engine that's get better and better over time. And yeah, this is really
brilliant.
Briefly, high level.
Beautiful. All right, we're going to go right into the topic in just a second, but first I have to ask, what is that chair? It's like a Star Trek chair. Is that a massage chair?
Yeah, this is a massage chair. Usually, I have
That
my Zoom background, and then no one's really see it, and I can also see it and like make the management call, etc.
that is a
Used to working
serious
from home.
chair. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it. I see
Yeah,
a
when
little
you're
screen
like
on there.
13 hours a day over Zoom, so you need to do sometimes break.
That's the
So,
secret. Instead of one of those little treadmill machines where everybody feels like you're like a gerbil on a wheel, you should
yeah,
just get a massage
yeah,
chair. I love it.
it's
All
like
right, let's go. Let's go right into the topic. Carlos, if you could please kindly introduce it and kick it off, that'd be great. Let's see what we can learn
Of
today.
course. Absolutely, Tulio. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you, Tom, for joining us today. So, Tulio, today we're going to be discussing how AI can help streamline the way we consume media and make the vast amount of content out there more accessible, digestible, and easy to understand. And this is going to be done possible through specifically on the realm of transcription, which is a $30 billion industry thanks to AI. So, this is precisely the topic that Tom chose for today's conversation. So, let me ask you this as a first question, Tom. Why did you choose this particular topic and for today's conversation, and why did you feel it was relevant for today's day and age? Let's start there, please. Give us some context. Thank you.
like just to make sure that I understand the question, like why I decided to choose as
Yes.
in to disrupt the transcription market, and what
Yes.
was attracting for me with that market.
Whatever angle you want to share, Tom, it's simply just a way to kick off the conversation. I mean, you chose transcription, a $30 billion industry, thanks to AI. That's the topic that's chosen by you.
Mhm.
So tell us why you chose this topic to begin with, and we can kick it off from there.
Okay,
That's a big industry.
yeah, it's a huge, so like the way we think about the market is really verticalized. So you have just the legal space, it's $4 to $5 billion vertical, and the healthcare is $8 billion vertical, and then you have insurance and education and media and government and call center. So it's really big industry, and that the way that the transcription, professional transcription used to be done, it was fully manual, right? And because of the manual process, like the prices was really high and it was really long the sales cycle, and therefore, like a lot of customers could not afford themselves to pay those high prices, and they need us more instantly rather than a few days or a few weeks turnaround time. And thanks to AI with Verbit, we actually enable and unlock a lot of the use cases that needed transcription and couldn't afford this to themselves. And also, for existing customers, we improve and upgrade the flow, the workflow, the process, and the experience dramatically, right? So you're getting much better quality of product, better capabilities, more easy to use, more secure, better pricing, better turnaround time, higher quality, all this stuff. So because of the AI and the technology, we're able at Verbit to really digitize and disrupt the professional transcription market.
I see. Okay. And also, Tom, I find it very interesting the way that you talk about transcription and captioning and AI. On your website, you mentioned the combination of technology and a human touch. So, would you mind telling us a little bit about where this particular human touch comes in play?
Sure. So it's a great question. So the use cases that we focus today, right? As a salesperson, you always ask yourself, why should people buy your product? And in our case, it's easy because they have to, right? There is a regulation that forces them to do so. If it's in the education space, you have the ADA, American Disability Act, that force universities like Stanford, Harvard, Yale, e-learning platform like Coursera, etc., that all of them are Verbit customers, by the way, to make their content accessible and transcribed for students with hearing problem, right? So then, therefore, they said AI by itself, is not good enough, right? Because I think if you're hard of hearing and the AI transcription wasn't accurate, right? Which today we know that, you can, for instance, hear my terrible Israeli accent, right? So with accent, for the AI, it's much more difficult to transcribe it. And then it could be really, bad transcript when it's only automated. And therefore, there's a regulation if it's like the ADA in the education space, if it's from the FCC, right, in the media space, the Federal Communications Center around closed captioning, right? So all of this is actually by the regulation required this human in the loop, that it will be in the professional accuracy. And we know that the AI by itself, it's not professional accuracy. So we need to have this human in the loop element.
Okay.
So
Thank
I'm
you.
curious
Thank you,
to learn
Tulio.
a
Back to
little
you.
bit. I'm curious to learn a little bit more about the human to machine interface you mentioned earlier. So when you have the people that are double checking the transcriptions, editing the transcription, correcting the transcription, you're saying that they're doing it in such a way that the platform is actually learning as they make correction. Can you walk us through a little bit of that? That sounds very interesting.
Sure. It's again a very good question. So maybe I'll give to the audience a really high level explanation. What is speech recognition, right? Speech recognition, it's an algorithm, right? That it's based on statistical model that's showing you the best guess of what been said, right? So I try to explain it in really simple language because I'm also not a tech person. So I think I managed to learn how to explain it really obvious to also non-techie people. So and because of like as I said, it's based on statistical model, right? So think about the fact that for each customer, the way we build our infrastructure of the technology, that every customer that we onboard, we are actually collecting the data that's relevant to this customer and automatically building a model or a speech model that's relevant for this customer. So we're basically taking all the terms that we produce in previous transcript and put it as part of the statistical model, that if like the machine will hear this kind of similar terms again, this will give high priority or high probability for those terms to kind of display them in the AI-based transcripts. And this is how, think about it as a network of data effect, that the machine and the brain of the AI just getting better because of like this, what we call structured data, right? So like the human in the loop, whenever they're, making the correction, it's going back to the statistical model, back to the algorithm and making it better. And this is how we improve the level of automation and make really consistent accuracy to our customer. So I hope I made it clear.
So just to get a little more clarification, I started my career 33 years ago in telecom, and we had acronyms, a binder this thick, no joke, of acronyms, just telecom acronyms. You needed a binder. And of course, back then we didn't have apps and all that. So you had to manually look up some acronyms if you didn't know what they were. I could imagine that in the legal field or other fields that you mentioned, professional fields, that a lot of times people will speak and they'll use acronyms, which is very commonplace. So are you saying you guys also upload a library of acronyms so that when the machine hears a certain term, it automatically translates that into what it could mean? And then as people do the corrections, how do you upload new ones? Like when you identify something that the machine missed, it gets inserted in. How does that work? It's an ongoing thing, or it's a one-time thing?
No, it's an ongoing thing. So think that, at the end of the day, all the data we collected from this customer going back to the cloud, and then all this kind of acronym that was corrected by the human is fed back to the statistical model to be part of like for future, transcript to get the acronym right? So this is exactly a really good example, right? So that, is really specific to the telecom industry, right? That, you have those acronym and okay, we transcribe it once correctly, and if it's ongoing, that every time new acronym being added, so all being fed back to the statistical model, that whenever the AI will hear it back something similar, it will give better probability for this to be the right word when they're putting the best guess of the algorithm of what been
So
said.
there's a lot of transcribing type services out there, right? What's unique about what you guys do? Is it the combination of the tech and the manual concierge people aspects of it? What would you say is the key differentiation point that allows you to, is it that you've served multiple verticals? If you could help us understand a little bit, what's unique about Verbit compared to all the other transcription services?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's a combination of few elements, right? Usually when you come to, choose a service provider, you check what is the price, what is the quality, and how fast they can deliver, right? Like usually this golden triangle of quality, price, and then turnaround time. I think that in our industry, you also have the ease of use of the product, the scalability of the product, how well secured is the product, what is the different product capabilities, and many, many more example. I can say that it's more relevant for the transcription. But if we'll go and tackle one by one, I think, that because of the technology, we have this competitive advantage that allow us to really win in each one of those. So, if you think about, let's say, the turnaround time, right? Because of the machine, we were able to do it much, much faster than the human, because 90% being done by the machine, and then the human just need to review and make the last mile editing. So it make it much, much faster, much more scalable. Then, because of, as I described earlier, how the machine learns and how we feed back the data to our statistical model. So we have really consistent accuracy. So our customer really liked that we customize it for them, and the quality is like really top notch. And because of the technology, we have the ability to give much better pricing than competitor, because the level of automation is higher, and we can afford ourselves to be much more competitive in pricing. Then you have the scalability issue. I remember that one of our customers, before working with Verbit, had to work with like 3 different local transcription vendors, right? And then when they met us, we said we have unlimited scale, and then they were like really eager to work with us and to be the one-stop shop. And part of our strategy at Verbit is roll-up strategy, like literally acquiring those moms and pops manual transcription businesses. So we can be their exit strategy, and to get liquidity of the business they build. And then we see it as a customer acquisition and bringing their customer to our platform, serving them, with better scale, then like better workflow, right? So ease of use, we discussed ease of use of the product. So we invest a lot with integration with all the different, let's say if it's in the education space, learning management system, like, Canvas, Kaltura, Blackboard, Panopto, etc. If it's in the legal space, to all the case management. So we create this workflow to our customer to make the ease of use of the product. And obviously it's all with the highest standard of security, with HIPAA compliance, so to compliance, etc. So the customer will feel well secured. And obviously because we invest tens of millions of dollars in R&D every year, so we have really strong technology and product capabilities, right, that allow us to differentiate ourselves from our competitors and to be able to give one-stop shop and to make a really easy choice for the customer. And this is why I started the business only 5 years ago, right? So think that all what we managed to build with Verbit happened in only 5 years. So it's been a tremendous journey and tremendous ride. And the good thing that we are just getting started, right? We totally think, okay, if this is what we build in the first 5 years, think on what we're going to build in the next 5 years, and everyone become really excited about it.
Tom, I have a question, more from the, let's call it the market angle, of course, or the business angle. How do you train AI to localize transcriptions? Because I mean, there are many languages out there that can be transcribed from. So is there any way that you can train? How do you train AI to localize? Can you just give us a little overview on how that happens?
Sure. So it's also depends on focus, right? So right now we're focusing on English, right? So as you said, there's a lot of different languages,
Mhm.
etc. So our focus is in English, and then the best way to do so is really to also focus on a vertical, right? So
Mhm.
okay, so you know
Mm.
that in the education space, it's universities and e-learning platform. In the media space, it's broadcaster. In the legal space, it's either court reporting agencies or law firms, etc., or insurance companies. So which one do you know who are the customers and how you can really train the technology for them with the specific terms, with whatever they need, right? So, but eventually, part of our secret sauce, it's how like we utilize the data we are receiving from the customer to really make our algorithm better and to serve our customer better, right? So obviously there is all this methodology of training and how you use the deep learning, etc. Those part of the,
Mhm.
let's call it, application that we apply in order to improve the technology. But in general, is to be really laser focused on either language, either vertical, and also if it's a specific kind of accent, even with the kind of vertical, also in terms of like the different acoustic environment. Right now we're talking here over the web, right? If it was a phone call, if we were in person, if it's the courtroom, if it's the classroom. So all of those kind of different acoustic
Mhm.
environment that we trained the technology to be able to receive the audio and make it really better processed with the technology.
Okay, and I like that the conversation, if I recall correctly, you illustrated a point. You said something like Verbit was the Uber for transcriptionists. What did you mean by that? Let's tell the audience why you use that analogy.
What do you mean? The Uber for transcription? Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned, yeah, you use that expression.
yeah, because think about that. Um, like as an entrepreneur, you're looking for problem with high friction, low efficiency,
Hmm.
where technology can switch it around, right? And
Hmm.
think about it. If you think on the taxi industry, right? So before Uber, in order to order a taxi, right, you had to call to the taxi agency. They will tell you 10 minutes. You go
Hmm.
down. You'll wait in the rain. Then you'll tell them where to go, and then you pay them, and they need to give you change. And today you can just click on a button and that's it, right? So how many friction the technology was able to solve, right, with one click. So think about on transcription. So you had to kind of before Verbit to give a call to the transcription provider to send them over email the transcript. Then they had to call to find a transcriber that's willing to pay them. They had to wire to the transcriber eventually amount of money. They had to collect with the customer. It was
Hmm.
really not scalable, painful process.
Yeah.
Today, we created all this workflow. It's just easy as it's sending an email or even with full API. And then, we also have a lot of, freelancers that work for us, like the Uber drivers or the
Right.
verbitizers that are our transcribers. So there is kind of analogy that I like to
Yes.
use. Kind of, it's a marketplace for taxi, so we can be marketplace for transcription.
Of course. Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Tom. Tulio,
We
back
can
to you,
have a
please.
whole conversation around that design in our design thinking segment. We might have to have you come back for that one. We'll see about that. But I was thinking here. Often we talk to entrepreneurs and founders of technology companies, and we get new ideas from what they're doing. And I was thinking we should start like a little hashtag Dare to Imagine. Hashtag Dare to Imagine. Uh, w- is it possible that at some point this can also evolve where the transcription can be done in multiple languages? That's probably easier today than it has been in the past. And then also voice transcription in multiple language, i.e., I'm watching something that was recorded in English. I can see the transcription in my localized language, but I can also hear the voice transcribed in the local language. Are machine going to be capable of doing that sometime in the near future? Is that potentially on your roadmap? What are your thoughts about that? Is that something that we could imagine happening at some point?
Yeah, I think if I understood you correctly, you also added translation capabilities and dubbing. Of I was not sure that
Yes.
this
Yes,
is part
both,
of the
both.
description. Yeah. So yeah, so definitely. So it's funny that you're raising it, because we have a constant discussion internally with everybody. Because okay, transcription is $30 billion industry, dubbing is another 10 to 15 billion dollar industry, and translation is also around 30 to 40 billion, if I'm not mistaken, industry. And
We
I
just
agree
doubled your
with you.
business opportunity just in one question.
Exactly, the total addressable market is you more than double it, right? And basically, you already build all the tools, right, that needed. So you just need to kind of create different processes or tuning the technology, etc. And is it something we want to do, right? So obviously, as you said, it's making, so instead of like we're being voice AI company to becoming language AI company, right? And you already within the customers, and then okay, once you have those capability, upsell those capability and really increase your business immediately. So definitely, this is the good and the bad thing with our company. So there is such a big market, and every place you'll go, you have so many opportunities, as we said, like to add different languages, to have different geographic, to add the translation, to add the dubbing. You can think about AI application, on top of the data. I can give you examples. So if it's you're transcribing a deposition of a witness from last week, we transcribe it, and he's coming back again to give his testimony, and we are transcribing it as well, and he's contradicting himself from what he said last week, so we can be able to give insight in real time to the lawyer. So this is kind of AI application on top of the transcript based on the vertical. So there's so many directions we can go as a company. And as I said, this is why I'm excited that we are just getting started, right? So, we are well funded. We have the ambitions to be the largest on earth, and we're going to keep executing and working hard to make our customer happy.
Boy, that
Tom,
technology will put a lot of politicians in trouble, wouldn't it?
Tom,
Go ahead, Carlos.
We're approaching the final. Thank you, Tulio. The final segment of today's conversation. I wouldn't want to end it without asking you specifically about what we call the company culture. Let's say that you wanted to reel in only the best of talent out there. Software development, UX, whatever. What would you say to these folks in order to make sure that they come like rushing to you to apply? How would you entice them to apply for a job at Verbit if you wanted to reel in the best of the best? What makes a great company culture at Verbit?
Yeah, this is really great question. So at Verbit, we're a very big happy family, right? So we really see each other as friends. I'm thinking about my management team, so we all really good friends of each other. So eventually it's all about, as we said here, to come and enjoy and have fun, right? So I think this is really important for us, and I think eventually we are allowing our people to be the best version of themselves as like really hyper growth company. We give a lot of responsibility to our employees and just give them the ability to lead and execute and really do something meaningful, right? If you think about that, we helping people with disabilities to enjoy the content, right? So like for this conversation, if you're hard of hearing, without a transcript, you won't be able to enjoy the content. So we're helping a lot of those people. So employees really well connected to this mission, at the same time that we're creating a lot of jobs from people, right, mainly from third world countries, to become transcribers in Verbit, right? So we get email on a weekly basis. Because of Verbit, we have the ability to feed our family, take care of our kids. So this is really heartwarming. And every future employee can really relate to those two critical missions that we have in the company. And then it's all about being part of a rocket ship winning team. So if we looking for people that really want to work hard, still myself, I'm working like 14-15 hours a day. So we want people that really here to work hard, play hard, and then to be part of this roller coaster that called Verbit, the skyrocket, that we were growing so fast and can fulfill their full potential, right? So we really, in my point of view, when you're doing an interview to a candidate, you try to assess the success. And then usually when you try to assess success, the equation equal to motivation plus ability. There's also around timing and luck, but let's put it aside. But what we're really looking for, people with high motivation, for me it's even more than 50%. If you try to break it down, this is more important than the ability, because if you're smart and coachable, etc., you can really learn and adapt really quickly to the role. So we're looking people with really high motivation to work hard and help us succeed, and then they will be able to learn a lot, because it's really a combination of a lot of things, that we do in Verbit, from, the roll-up strategy to SaaS business model to marketplace, AI, human in the loop. So it's really unique, very interesting environment to be in, to learn and lead, and, to influence on a lot of people.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. Tulio,
So
back to you.
we're coming up on time. I want to ask one final question, Tom. So, you've gone from startup to unicorn in 5 years. What's that journey been like for you personally? What have you learned about yourself in this journey as an entrepreneur?
Wow. What I learned, that it's a Walt Disney quote, that if you can dream about it, you can achieve it, right? And to be honest, when I started Verbit, I think that even in my wildest dream, I didn't think that in 5 years we're gonna be, where we are today, right? And eventually, it's all due to the hard work of so many people. But again, so what I learned, if you need to think big, dream big, and if you can dream about it, you can achieve it.
Tom, it's been a pleasure to have you with us. Stay with us just as we go off the air in a second. This is the final show for this week. We had to postpone today's 12 o'clock show to another time. But come back on Monday for the recap show at 12 o'clock Pacific. We're going to recap this week's shows and announce what's coming up for next week. We have, unless you have that information now, Carlos, you want to announce what's coming up next week?
Of course, we got 2 shows
Awesome.
confirmed too. Yeah, we got 2 shows confirmed. The first one on Tuesday with like VI, that's the name. Then okay, I'll give this a try. Freevert Hauser. Okay, bear with me, folks. Okay, V Freevert Hauser at Homats. I hope I got that
Think
right.
how are you to transcribe this name? How difficult.
See, there you go.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge, right?
We need Verbit for that.
We need Verbit for
Right.
that. Yeah, Freeverts Hauser. I assume it's German. Anyway, and then on Thursday, we're going to be speaking with Arun Tungari from No Dabble Networks. That's Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday is we had it reopened. I mean, it was an open slot for now, but those are the 2 shows that we have confirmed for next week, Tulio.
All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back on Monday at noon.
See you
Be
back
safe.
Monday. Thank you.